are today getting ready to go back into the beginning stuff of EVE Online. Today's focus, I'm going to be taking a look at the industry and the business career paths that you start in EVE Online as a part of your tutorial. So let's go ahead and get started there. Alright, now as you see, I'm still running the same character.
Connecting.
So there's nothing new been added to this particular character. It looks like I got some money in, but it's probably from working on the pirates from last night. Oh, and I have no skills in Q. I'll be honest, I just forgot to turn them on. So, we are going to add frigate control. And the reason we're adding frigate control is because eventually we're going to want to bump up from there. And once you get to level 3, you can bump up to the Gallente Destroyer. Plus, it's really the only combat shit I have available to me at the moment. I'm also going to add evasive maneuvering and high speed maneuvering. These will be important for one is how long it takes you to turn in the direction you're trying to go. As you see, micro warp drive, and the other is for actual turning of your ship. Now we don't want to go. Oh, actually, that runs a little bit over. That's fine. As long it doesn't matter if you run over, as long as the last thing you have on there starts before that 24-hour mark. Now we'll probably wind up adjusting this because you know what? No, we're going to go ahead and we're going to remove these last two because I'm probably going to need to add some production, some resource processing, and all that stuff. Now as you see, I got mining, I got salvaging, and of course I'm going to need to get some reprocessing here at some point. That's going to be kind of important, especially coming up here. So with that, let's go ahead and get to it. I guess it would help if I didn't go into the corporations. We're actually going to start in the agency today, and you have the industry and the career paths. Those are the two we're going to be focusing on today. Tomorrow, I will go ahead and run through the military career path and the exploration career path, so that way you guys can see all of that. So, here we go. We'll start with an industry. Now, this all starts off a few jumps away. And realistically, these are meant to be run on your rookie ships. So if you're running Gallente, it'll be your Velator. If you're running Minmatar, it'll be the Reaper. The Caldari is the Ibis. And to be honest, I have no idea what the Amar rookie ship is. It just exists. So, that'll be something we're going to have to do here. Now, one of the things you're going to come find in handy when you're trying to find your stuff is the personal assets button. This lets you know what you have and where you have it. Okay. Now, it looks like my Velator is in Adart. So what we're going to do here is we're going to head over to Adart and get my ship. First thing we're going to do, though, is we're going to leave this ship here. We'll put this in just our capsule, the same capsule you saw during the introductory video, which I still think is one of the neatest introductory videos in gaming for what you're doing. You're a person attached into this little thing, Matrix style, and this thing goes warp speed. Come on, that's awesome. Alright, so we're gonna go into here, And since our ship is, that we're looking for is an A-Dart, we are going to set the destination for A-Dart. And we're going to get moving. All right. Now, this will come in handy here. It gives you a nice, controlled, and easily figured out way of navigating to where you're going. And this should not take the 2.5 hours I took yesterday. It should be about an hour to an hour and a half to go through all these things. Plus, as I'm going, I will receive additional ships. I know that I'll be receiving at least one venture. I'll be receiving 2 mining lasers and a cargo ship, if I remember correctly. So when I say to go ahead and make sure to handle all the tutorials, it's because you get a lot of stuff just for doing the tutorials. You might as well. You're going to wind up using it anyway. I just realized something. It's a little industry. There we go. That should. Oh, wait. Industry. Introduction. Career. Intro pads. Dink. In any case, we're going to go back to flying so that way we don't get our ship blown up. Yes, being potted is a bad idea. Being potted sucks. You die. And if you have any implants in, you lose them all. So let's not have that happen. Now, for those of you who didn't catch my stream last night, this is all from the viewpoint of an alpha clone who's just getting started in the game. Just to get a good look of what's going on. And maybe get an idea of the kind of things you can do. Now, my primary focus here is going to be the agency stuff. And I'll be doing industry and business today.
Docking request accepted.
And as always, I'm willing to accept any comments or criticism of what I have to say, because you know what? I may enjoy the game, but I'm by no means an expert. So I welcome any additional information that I might have missed. Alright, so we're making our Velotor active. Why? Because, well, for starting off, it's actually not terrible. Granted, there's a lot that's a whole lot better, but realistically, as a starting ship, as long as you don't decide to get stupid, you'll find yourself able to use this ship for a little while. Alright. So now, agency. And again, we're going to start with industry. Now, normally I would suggest either dual mounting mining lasers or dual mounting your rookie guns, depending on what you're doing. But I'm going to tell you from previous experience, you're going to want to keep both on for at least the introductory missions. mostly because you're going to have a little bit of combat, a little bit of mining. And yes, having a dedicated mining ship is great. The problem is that the Venture has an issue where targeting takes quite a while. And while it's not so big of a deal when you're dealing with drones who can automatically aggress anybody who attacks you, when you're flying without drones, it's not necessarily the best setup to be without some kind of active weapon. Alrighty. Got a few jumps before we get there, so this is where we get to deal with the slow boringness of flying through three-dimensional space. Now I could activate autopilot, that's what the A down here is. Typically, in high security space, it's okay to do that. It's not necessarily the best idea, because there will be people who will come after you even in high sec space. And we'll go over that later on as we get through the mining stuff, because there are some things to keep in mind while you are out and about. So let's go ahead and keep on flying. Alrighty.
Warp drive active.
I hate to say it, but when you're in trance, there's not really a whole heck of a lot for you to do. I mean, I guess you could do the Project Discovery, which is a neat little mini game that we'll go over in a little bit of time here when we actually start mining. Project Discovery is actually using real data from various space probes to help track and locate planets in distant solar systems. So you know how you keep hearing how the various telescopes have found this new planet, that new planet? Well, the Project Discovery game is quite literally you using the same stuff that NASA uses to find their planets. If nothing else, that's pretty cool. Oh boy. Looks like code's out in force.
Docking permission requested. Docking request accepted.
And okay, let's say I'm gonna have to discuss it anyway. Since they're already here in chat. One of the issues you're gonna run into while playing this game, as I said, there will be some people who go after you in high security space, and they're going to do it using ships that are designed to pop your ship as soon as they come in. And a lot of times they're aiming for beginning players, alpha accounts that can't really gear up their craft as well as other accounts. And honestly, I'm of the opinion that it's really nothing more than self-important bullying, but unfortunately, they're not doing anything in violation of the game's standards, so they're allowed to continue to smack you around for no good reason. It is what it is, and that's all that it is. So, industry. We're going to start with industry. Now, like normal, we get our stuff through our agents, and this one is specifically about pulling ore. This is where we actually go to an asteroid and start mining. As you see, they're giving us a mining laser. So, honestly, that's a good place to start. So, accept that mission. And yes, they charge us 1 ISK for collateral for their mining laser. So we're going to actually put that mining laser on. We'll remove the civilian. We will add the mining laser. This uses a bit more power, but it mines considerably more effectively. I'm sorry, it doesn't use more power, it uses more computing power. So here we are.
Warp drive active.
Okie dokie. Typically, it's best to not engage with the code people, the people who like to spout the miner bumping crap, because there's better stuff to do other than dealing with them. Now, for mining is pretty straightforward. You still have to target what you're trying to hit, what you're trying to work against, and then you initiate your laser. Now, different types of ships, they suggest you do different things. For smaller, lighter weight ships, they typically suggest you orbit. For the bigger ships, now again, I'm doing this as an alpha clone, but there are bigger mining ships called barges. And typically it's suggested that you align towards a safe place to warp in case someone comes into play. So for us and for our purposes, we're going to orbit here at 5,000. Now remember yesterday I talked about the directional scanner. This is where the directional scanner will come in handy. You can use that scanner to get an idea of how many people are in the general area. Now as of right now, I'm just showing a boatload of loot. Now these might be empty, these might not be empty. There we go. Now he's telling us to keep mining. Thank you very much. I'll take it from here. And we're going to switch over to PvP. So as of right now, there's nobody in our direct range. And you can refresh the scanner once every roughly 3 to 5 seconds. What you're looking for is you're looking for ships that are within the range, which will show up on here, so that way if there's a threat you can get out. Now because this is an entry-level area, unless one of them has taken the time to actually bookmark the location, you're going to be relatively safe. What we're doing here is he's asking for 1,000 Veldspar. So Veldspar, 1 unit is roughly 1/10 of a cubic meter. So you're trying to get 1,000 of this, So that's 100 cubic meters. When you're done, if you go ahead and fill up your entire cargo hold, you'll have 35 cubic meters left over for your own personal gain. Now, one option you have is you can bookmark the asteroid. Just right-click on it and save location, and then come back to it. Keep mining it, because you know what? It'll eventually disappear regardless. It's going to go to waste. There's no point in letting it go to waste. Alrighty, so we're full. We go back to dock. Dock.
Warp drive active.
Now, once we get there, you're going to lose 1,000 bits that they're going to request. You're going to lose it. It's gone away. Nothing you can do about it.
Docking
But
permission requested.
you will get the remainder for yourself.
Docking request accepted.
So we're going to come in here and complete the mission. As you see, we get our money for completing it on time. And we should get our 1 ISK back for collateral. So we get our 1 ISK back. Yay! Alright. Moving on. As you see, we're going to get a Velator if we complete this. And he's asking for 150 tritanium. So where do you get this tritanium? Well, believe it or not, you reprocess it from the ore you just dug up. So, I am so sorry about that. I'm a little clogged up today. So as you see, you need 100 units in order to actually perform the reprocessing. The bad news is that it only works in counts of 100. So if I go to do this reprocess here, now I'm still able to do the reprocess even though I'm not even though I haven't trained into it. I'm just going to be losing a full half of the value of what I've dug up. So processing 300 bits of Veldspar would normally have netted me, there you go, as you can see the numbers right there, it would have netted me 1,255 bits of tritanium. But because my reprocessing skill is not that high, I'm going to lose half of that. The remainder of the ore just gets dropped back in your item bank. That's just kind of the way it works. And now we get this, so we can complete the mission. Ta-da! Get the money, get the ship. This next one here, it's actually asking us to build something off of it. Now, it's industry, all right? So you're picking up materials to process the materials, to build things, to sell things. That's what this is quite literally about. So when I say that when I first started playing, I wanted to be a shipwright, this kind of thing was important to me because I had to buy my blueprints, I had to mine my ore, or you can buy your ore from the auction house, or marketplace, and go from there. So we're going to accept this here. And we're going to go to the industry tab, where you should see we have a civilian afterburner blueprint copy, and depending on how well they have researched it, you can actually find you'll use less materials and get done faster. So if you buy your own blueprint instead of relying on copies, you can research that blueprint and make it faster for yourself. Costs a little bit more that way, but then you have it whenever you want it. Now we only need to make one of these, but it's designed for 2 and it'll take 10 minutes to get done. So as you see, we got a timer here, and this is in the Jobs tab. If your Blueprints tab, any blueprints you have in the source location that you have here will show up here. Now, if you have, let's say you have a cargo box in here, and you want it specifically for holding your blueprints, you could actually tell it in here, it'll actually have your blueprint options. And if you have blueprints in different places, it'll show you where they all are. As a beginning player, you can only make stuff at the station you're at. So on my main character, I can actually produce at up to 15 jumps away. So if I'm in, let's see, okay, we're in Clelanon right now. Okay, but if I had something in, say, oh, and here's a star map, so you can actually take a look at roughly where you are. But let's say I had a blueprint over here in Hevrice. I could actually tell it to start building that as long as the materials are present. So since we have to wait 10 minutes for this anyway, let's go ahead and take a look at the business career. Now this is going to be quite literally hauling first. So in here, you're going to make extra money just for hauling stuff from point A to point B. And there are actually in-game corporations that are centered around that entire process. Making sure the money's there, hauling your stuff from point A to point B, handling the insurance, they do it all. And some of them make some pretty good money on it that way. So, we're going to take the ship we have now, we're going to accept this mission while we wait for our stuff to get done. And as you see, we have the data sheets. So we got to make sure that's in our cargo hold. It's now in our cargo hold, which is literally just that. Make sure to set the destination that you want to use. So we're going to set the destination and then undock. To anyone joining in, this is just meant to be an overview for the beginning of EVE Online and the various introductions you get. So we're going to utilize our jump gate options. It's always kind of fun to clip through the base you're trying to warp away from. This is probably the most boring part of the game when you're traveling around through low sec, or high sec, I mean, which means high security for those who are looking into the game for the first time and may not know the jargon.
Warp drive active.
Oh. I'm hearing myself come out of the warp gate. It's quite literally just a delivery run. We are running delivery. That's it. And there's not even going to be any enemy ships on this one. Just run in, drop off, fly away.
Docking permission requested. Docking request accepted.
Alrighty. And we're here, so we'll drop off the cargo. And we just made our money. That simple. It's that easy for some of these lower end delivery options. Now, unfortunately, because we're not at the next area, we're not back at the base where we got the job from, we can't just accept it. We actually have to fly back. So we're going to set the destination.
I cannot set a waypoint to the same location twice.
And we're going to fly back. For those of you coming from regular MMORPG, fantasy style MMORPGs, this would be the, you know, go get this item for me quest deal. And as you go through the game, a lot of the bases will have agents for you to continue doing these kind of things. So if this is your big thing, and you like following questing and storyline, you know what? The game's got plenty.
Warp drive active.
Now, as long as your ship's got a big enough cargo hold, you can pretty much fly whatever you want to for delivery missions. A lot of times, the missions that I've seen so far, especially in the earlier zones, they're really small amounts. So you'll be good.
Docking permission requested. Docking request accepted.
Okay. While we're here, let's take a look at our industry job. We got 1.5 minutes left to go. So, let's take a look here at what the next business opportunity is. Let's see, remains. Now, what this is telling us to do is it's going to have us use the civilian salvager here to collect stuff from a wrecked vessel. If you run into a wreck, every wreck can be salvaged. Normally what that means is you're going to get parts that you can utilize elsewhere for improving your ship. Most salvage stuff tends to be towards making minor adjustments that will benefit some areas while potentially negatively affecting others. It's actually, now on this ship you're not going to see it, but over here where you see these lines, there can be there's normally three I just suddenly had a blank. Rigs, there we go. Rigs that you can attach to your ship and potentially improve or change something more to your liking. So, now that I've wasted a minute chatting, we'll do delivery. We'll take those and we will move on to the industry career path and finish that up. Now this should be, let's see. Ah, okay. So remember how I said we're going to start off with the Bellator, the rookie ship? This is actually the reason why. If you notice, it's putting us in an area where we're going to be dealing with drones. So we're going to have to actually do some small amount of combat. Oh. Try it again. And we're going to come back to that one. So we will undock. And the combat stuff you got to do yesterday, you'll get to do a little more of it today. The positive note is that this particular gun has a little bit longer reach than the little dinky thing we were using yesterday. All the factions have a long range and a short range type weapon. And while this is a shorter range of the long range weapon, it's definitely able to reach out and touch things a little bit further away than that blaster could. So there is a little hard to see, but there are drones. And they are going to cause us headache. So we're going to orbit the asteroid and commence the mining while we shoot at drones. And again, keyboard shortcuts for quite a few of the things. Comes in handy. Yep. And that's literally what it's asking you to do. The only downside is that we're not going to be able to get 7,000 titanium on board with the ore from this ship. Okay, so we're going to save that location, and we're just going to call it Veldspar, and we're going to go mine it up. Now, once we're done with this, I can actually put this ship in dock, switch over to the Venture, and come back and keep mining. And it'll get done a lot faster. You'll see what I'm talking about because I'll have a lot more cargo space specifically for ore. You know what? In fact, I'll show you. Let's see here. Turn over here. And it is the Venture. This is the Venture. As you see, the 3 rig slots. These are for high power. These are for your guns. These are for your boosters and benefits. And down here is usually an augmenting option. In this case, for the ship that I'll be flying, typically on a Venture, you'll try to add a mining add-on, which will improve the rate at which you mine. Now, in the simulation version, you can actually pre-prep what you want. So we're going to have 2 mining lasers, I hope. Oh, we're full. So let's head back to dock.
Warp drive active.
And we're going to add a there we go, a civilian afterburner. Why? Because, well, a little bit of speed never hurt anybody. And by that I mean, oh yeah. And you can always save these for later, like, just venture, noob.
Docking permission requested.
A lot of your more experienced players,
Docking
however,
request accepted.
when you're dealing with docking and locations that you're going regularly, they'll make different, what's the word I'm looking for? They will make different landing points that are closer and that much faster to get docked up. It's not a bad idea, especially if you're going to places on a regular basis. Alright. Now, we're actually going to strip the fitting of this. And we're going to activate the Venture. Yay, it's a mining ship. And while we're here, we're going to equip the 2 different miners. Why? Because that's what I have right on hand. And we're going to fit the afterburner, and you know, I'm not going to worry about the expanded cargo. We'll use that for later. Here's our Venture. And we're going to fly out to where we were.
Warp drive active.
Now, if we had a drone on this ship, then this mission gets a lot easier because all you have to do is deploy your drones, and the drones take care of blowing up the other drones coming at you. Now, if you notice, this civilian miner is going to go around a lot faster. Whereas the regular miner is going to take a little bit longer to go through its completion. But it uses more power, and you actually will mine faster that way. Not by a lot, which as you can see, you got 1.8 versus 1.6 per second. But it'll make a big difference. Set up the orbit at 5,000. Memory serves. Yeah, these are within 10, so we'll be good. So exciting. Now, as you see, it's a mining vessel, so it doesn't have all that much in the way of a cargo hold. But your ore hold, as you see, 5,000 cubic meters. Compared to the 135 cubic meters we were dealing with earlier, this is going to take a while to fill. Okay, let's say there's an Algos in the area. But he's not too far out. I mean, yeah, he's pretty far out. And he's not warping to me. So, we should be alright. So, let's see here. So, the civilian miner will pull 96 cubic meters in a minute. This regular miner pulls 106 in a minute. So if you do the math, that's 202 cubic meters. So that'll take up to 25 minutes to fill this hold. That's a really long time. We're not going to fill the whole hold. It would take way too long for the purposes here. And to be honest, it's kind of boring. The most exciting part would be if someone were to warp in and make us have to cut our lasers and run away. Or if we had pirates come in and we had drones to protect ourselves. That might make it a little more interesting. Unfortunately, neither of those things are going to happen. So, if you would like to take a snack break or get a drink, now would be a good time to do it. Still got that Algos nearby. And right now what we're doing is we're just trying to narrow down roughly where this guy is. Looks like he is either looks like he warped out. Yeah, he was barely in the range of the scanner to begin with, and now he's completely off the map. Now, if you happen to have not gone for a break, you would have saw that I was narrowing down the angle. And the shortcut key for activating the scanner is V. So if you want to, let's say we want to go ahead and narrow this down to a tighter comb. Alright, looks like there's a trio of drones that someone left behind. It might not be a bad idea to go grab those before we dock up, if they're still there. The Algos is typically considered a drone boat, so most likely it belonged to them, or those drones belonged to them, and they accidentally dropped them as they were warping out. So we'll go for another 45 seconds, and then we'll go see if we can pick up some drones. Now, for some reason, now there's my game has a tendency of glitching just a little bit on the directional scanner. If for some reason the directional scanner doesn't show up when you press the V key, you can simply click on this button here, and you can choose between your various scanner options. In this case, we're using the directional scanner. Ta-da! There they are. And since there's only one asteroid belt around there, it's probably right there. Well, the meme Tanny. I've been playing for a year. This is a separate account I specifically made for demonstrating the game to people who might be interested.
Warp drive active.
This is strictly me going over the introductory stuff. So if people who are new to the game have questions, they can see what I'm doing using an alpha account and get an idea of what to expect. Believe it or not, I still use the stock overview. I've never changed it out. Alright. Oh, I don't see the drones. Let's see. A lot of patience and a lot of practice. Ooh. Well, apparently those drones are not right here, which kind of stinks. Oh, well. I guess we could always... zoom in a little bit here and maybe cut this down to 1. Where are we now? Alright. So we're going to check... Okay. Well, it looks like we're not going to manage to steal those drones, which kind of sucks. Alright. You know what? I can do that, because you know what? It is something that a new player may be interested in doing. So, in order to get to the channels that are being referred to in the chat, you'd actually click on the plus here to add a new window. And you would type in the name of the channel. Fair enough. And you would type in what you're looking to join. Now, as you see, there are some instructions here. And then the next channel is the Sarah Shawa. There we are. Also, so in order to install these, looks like, yeah, you probably click on each one individually. I'm always up for trying new things, so I appreciate that. Let's see. So it looks like overview settings, reset all tabs, click the core pack. So then and essentially what this does, it changes this part over here. You have your core. Okay. And then you have your D-scan added, your option. Friendly. Am I doing this right, by the way, or is this a situation where I pick it up when I need it? Again, I've never actually used these before, so I am curious. Oh, okay, okay. Oh, okay. That's actually not bad. That's not bad. And if for any reason you decide you're not happy with that, you can always just come over to here, open the overview settings. Yes, that one I did learn a little while ago. And you should be able to, there you go, reset all overview settings if you're not happy with what you have there. And with enough time and practice, you will eventually be able to make this much more usable for yourself. I've never done the colorization thing. I never learned how. But if you wanted to, you can change stuff here. It looks like... okay. And you can change it to presets that you may prefer. Alright. This is a lot better than... I had someone... The reason I have never used these before is because... Yeah. I had a core mate send me one that just completely messed me up. And so I just got rid of it, returned back to stock, and rebuilt my version, which worked well for me, but not necessarily for everybody. Okay. So now we're going to warp back. Oh, looks like we got a venture coming in. And we're going to warp a venture out. Yes, and I'll be honest, that's the issue I ran into for myself.
Docking request accepted.
I had learned how to make adjustments to the stock overview, and it worked for what I needed it to do. But then all of a sudden it was, oh, you need to add this, you need to add that, and I'm sitting here like, well, where do I find the stuff I was just using? Oh, don't worry about that. No, that's not how this works. So thank you, I appreciate that. I'm probably going to keep that one for a while here. See if see if I can get the feel for it, and if I like it, I'll keep using it. All right. There we go. Finish that mission, and we will get another regular mining laser, so we can use that in place of our civilian miner. All right. Here we are. And now they're going to ask us to transport the stuff. It's the same concept what we just did a few minutes ago on the business career path. Except this time we're doing it in a venture. Yay, venture. Now, it's usually a good idea to mark where you want to go before you go. What are you talking about? Oh, wait. I forgot I was moving the electronic stuff, not necessarily the afterburner. Alright.
Warp drive active.
And correct me if I'm wrong, there are various different types of overview options depending on what your preferred play type is. And that's something that people will have to try out for themselves if they haven't decided to make their own. Like, I'm sure there's a really good overview for people like me. Usually when I'm out, I'm actually doing exploration stuff.
Warp drive active.
Oh, okay, that's cool. Fair enough. I got super excited when I finally got a Helios, so I could finally do some exploration in a degree of probably. Probably the D-Stan extended version might help. Wait.
Warp drive active.
Yeah, that's what I was going to suggest. For the most part, while you're doing this, you're going to want to be on a defensive setup. And the reason for that is because you want to be able to see where the other ships are. Yes. It'll also give you a bit of a heads up if one of our favorite high sec supposed overlords wants to show up and try to smack you around for a bit.
Warp drive active.
Last night I had a guy on who's actually really cool, was seriously interested in learning what he could about the game, so he was asking a bunch of questions about it, and I was more than happy to answer what I could. For me, if you're not enjoying the game, you're not going to want to keep playing the game. So it helps to give people an idea of what they might enjoy.
Warp drive active.
The more I'm looking at that, the more I like it. I gotta be honest. It's nice and easy to keep track of what you're actually trying to do. And that's awesome. I like that. Thanks for showing me those, because I never would have looked for them on my own.
Warp drive active.
Another nice thing is with this is that if memory serves, you can actually save this. Yeah, in history. Here we are. So you can, if you decide to try something different, you can actually re-add this stuff and go back to what you had afterwards.
Warp drive active.
That saved me a few times when I accidentally broke my stock overview by closing out things I didn't mean to close out. And I'll probably wind up looking over this one here in a little bit. Just because I would actually, now that I've seen this one, I kind of want to try a few more out.
Warp drive active.
That is a very, very good piece of advice, Meme Tiny. Is it Meme Tiny or just Tanny? Yes, and then you'll be super cluttered. Huh. Excuse me. Roger that. I understand that sentiment.
Warp drive active.
Yeah, I got that one recently. Was it 2 or 3 days ago? I decided to goof off with some faction warfare, and I wound up catching an enemy cargo vessel unawares, and the assault was real. I've never been cursed at in Russian before. That was pretty amazing. All right. Yes, it is. If you're not garnering salt, you're doing something wrong. All right. Now, as you see, a little short on material to craft this particular item. So there's two ways to do this. You can either go out and mine. Oh. Well, thank you very much, Tiny. You fly safe. Take care. You can either go mine the kind of rocks that'll get this for you. So in this case, you can right click on it and see what you're looking for. We're looking for, I've always called it plagioclase. I pronounce it like it's French. Or we can go into some slightly lower security areas and look for kernite. And the reason I look for that is because if you notice, if we look in here, dink, plagioclase and amber are good places to get pyrite. Pyrite, however you want to pronounce that. You can also just simply mine up scordite. So we're actually going to look for some plagioclase. And for that, we simply go to asteroid belts.
Warp drive active.
All right. Well, we got a couple ships right in the area. Another good one for defensive monitoring is the PvP one. All right. Huh. Okay, that actually would make sense. There's apparently nothing to mine here. So let's go take a look at the next asteroid belt.
Warp drive active.
Ah, wow. There we go. There's some rocks. Let's see if there's a miner. Scan friendly. And we'll reload that one. Okay, apparently there's not one with asteroids or mining. So what we'll do is we'll actually create a tab and we'll call it mining. And we're going to edit this tab. Now, as long as we're in here, you'll only be changing what shows up specifically on the tab. Wait a minute, am I on the wrong one? I'm on the right one. Apparently there is no plagioclase here. Well, that's going to make this a little bit more difficult now, isn't it? So we want all the asteroids. But we don't. I'm not worried about. Oh no, I want the cargo containers. Not worried about covert beacons. Not worried about that. Or, you know what? I'll leave the harbor. I'll leave that on. Harvestable cloud, yes. The asteroid belt on. that, or that, or that. I'll leave the Rex on. And I'll leave the charges on, because that'll come in handy. Nizai Zusha. I'm sorry, I unfortunately don't understand what you're asking for. We're going to leave all the ships on. I think that's good. We're just going to save that. So yes, unfortunately, there is no plagioclase here, so we will move on to the next belt.
Warp drive active.
There's a couple ways you can do this one. Instead of making it, you could always just buy some. Oh, there's nothing left but Scordite. I may have to go to a different star system.
Warp drive active.
Not a drop of Plagioclase. Well, that kind of stinks.
Drive active.
Most likely it probably got mined out by the various new accounts starting up today. Or by people who never leave the system and just mine it and sell it on the auction or the marketplace. Yeah, there's not a drop in here. We're going to have to go to another star system. So let's go to Luz. Now, you may have noticed there's different sizes of these gems. The bigger it is, the more product, the more mineral you can extract from the same amount of ore. So I think it's a 5 and a 10% difference. So you have like your Scordite, and you have your large Scordite, and you have your massive Scordite. So if you have your Scordite, and you get for ease of math, we say we get 100 pyrite out of the Scordite, then the larger one will give you 105, and the massive will give you 110. So it's kind of it's a good idea to keep track of exactly what you're getting out of it. This is probably going to be a bit of a bust too. There's not that many here. Alright, Veldspar. Ah, Plagioclase. Let's see if there's a bigger version. You know what, here, we'll sort it out like this. Veldspar, Scordite, okay, so we're just dealing with regular Plagioclase, so we're gonna have to deal with that. The interesting thing is we really don't even need all that much to complete the mission itself. So we're going to convert this back to distance. about we do proximity thing? Do you? And start mining that. Now this is where keeping your proverbial head on a swivel comes in handy. It's the biggest thing we're looking for right now. Is enemy ships that may come after us. Now we see here we got an Astro House. That's actually, if memory serves, that's used to mine moon rock. They'll actually pull a chunk of the moon out, you blow it up, you mine the rock. Fortizar, I believe that's combat. Okay. It's a fort with internal docking bays, and I actually that is a. Golly, you would think I would know this stuff after playing for a year. Ah, right, engineering. So that's where you'll find a lot of people working on their on their assembly and stuff like that. These ships here, the Nereus, these are both cargo vessels, and we know what Adventure is. We're flying one, so we're relatively safe for the moment. That's not terrible. Honestly, that might even be enough to do the whole thing on just a single pull. But we'll go ahead and give it 2 or 3 pulls, so that way we can make sure we have enough. What's interesting is we're actually in higher security space, and I feel a need to watch that much more closely. Because we were here, and as you see, there's only one way in and out of that system. And over here, so 1, 2, there's like 3 ways out of this one. So you never know where they're coming from. Plus, it's a really small system. So that's something to keep in mind. Someone warps in, you're gonna know, because the entire solar system is, I want to say 12 AU? 13? 13 and a half, we'll call it. 13 and a half. Around. That's not exactly the world's biggest, or the universe's biggest one. Oh, okay. Now you see we have the Imicus here. I don't know why it's not. There it goes. An Imicus is the beginning level exploration ship. In fact, when we start to do the exploration, we're going to see that we'll be flying one of those. So that's 3. I think we'll do 1 more, and then we'll shoot back to actually make our product. Now, by adding it as our first waypoint, it gives us an opportunity to simply right-click on it and warp out if there's a problem. Another advantage to this particular component here is that if you're in trouble, you can use this to quickly warp out of a dangerous situation. You know someone's coming to pop your boat. It's usually a good idea to find one of these, warp out real quick. Don't take too much time deciding which one, though, because if you wait too long, whoever's coming in to get you is going to come get you. So you go click, pick, go. Best way to do it. And did I miss the completion? Yes, I did. Okay. So we're going to call that done, and we're going to head back.
Warp drive active.
I have no idea what that was, but that was interesting.
Warp drive active.
So now we're going to go ahead and fly back. Almost look like a mosquito. Don't know how a mosquito would have gotten in my house, though. Alright.
Docking permission requested. Docking request accepted.
Sadly, a good 60% of the game of EVE Online is traveling from place to place. Yeah, we gotta make it first. In order to make it, we gotta reprocess. That should do it. And there we go. Now, again, this is the industry career path. I believe we are on, yes, job 6. So there's 4 more after this one. And I can tell you right now, the last one that's on there takes about an hour and a half if you don't decide to just buy the outright component. You can buy it. There's nothing to prevent you from buying it. But, you don't get to build it yourself. And that's kind of part of what industry is about. If you're about being self-sufficient, if you're about building your own stuff, that's what you'll want to run. This will, however, give you an idea of how long it'll take. Because, just for curiosity's sake, let's see, do adventure blueprint. So the blueprint for the venture. Now, as of right now, there are 33 available at about 5.9 million. All right. If we come in here, though, we could actually take a look and see what to expect. 1 hour and 40 minutes per run. And with a completely stock blueprint, without any research done whatsoever, this is what you're going to expect to have on hand. Some of this will be easier to simply buy, like, which one is it? The Noxium. Yes, the Noxium, and this, if I remember correctly, is the Zydrine. Let's see. Those are probably going to be easier for a fresh starting out character to go just buy, because in order for you to get the Noxium, what am I thinking of? Oh, never mind, never mind. I'm sorry, I'm thinking of a different material. There is an ore that you can only get from what they call null security space, or nullsec. And what that means is you go there, no police to protect you at all. You're going to get blown up. So let's go back over here. Should be just about done. About 100 seconds left to go. So in that case, I am going to take a beverage break. Beverage. Okay. Thank you. Is it Radovarius? Thank you very much. I love the shirt. I usually wear different gaming shirts and joke shirts when I'm out here doing this. I figured it's better than wearing no shirt. Rat? Alright, Rat, that works. Wow, this takes a lot longer than I remember, but then again, when it was brand new and fresh and exciting, it just seemed to go that much faster for you. So I may have to hold off on the business career path until tomorrow night for anybody who's interested in that. If I remember correctly, that one's a little bit faster. How goes the making stuff? Well, today is terribly slow. This is an alpha clone I made strictly for showing people what to expect if they were to start playing EVE Online today. So that's where we are with that. It's already here. Oh, let's say I gotta make them both. Well, crap. Oh, yeah? My big thing, honestly, I mostly do a lot of exploration. Excuse me. On my Omega account. Yes, exactly. On my Omega account, I got the Helios about 2 or 3 weeks ago, and I'm really enjoying being able to fly around and not be blown up upon entry. After I'm done going through all the Omega entries, or the Alpha entry stuff, I'll eventually pull out my my Omega clone and show the Astero. Yeah, I've had people tell me that I need to switch to the Astero, and my wallet told me to go away. I unfortunately, well, at the time I couldn't afford one. Now I can. So, who knows? Maybe I'll switch to an Astero. And for those who are not familiar with what the Astero is, we'll close this for the moment. This is the Astero. The really nice thing about the Astero is it's very much set up for doing scanning, doing exploration. The Crystal Blast looks pretty good. I'm still partial to Glacial Drift. That is true. It is a little bit better, but at the same time, you don't get the 37.5% bonus on a Helios for strength. Yes, yes. All these things you need to factor in for your decision making. This can only hold 210 cubic meters, whereas the Helios that I prefer, it's just I really liked what I got out of it. Oh, no. There we go. It's another kickstand ship. Oh wait, maybe not. It looks like the Astero is actually better for cargo. Yes, yes. I think the best I've gotten the Helios down to for a line is I think I've gotten it down to 2.5. Yeah, the Amicus, which eventually I'll be flying here for people. It may hold more, but you cannot fit a cloaking device to it. Yes, it works really really well for a beginner, and even better if you can do that with another person to cover your back. But by yourself, it's really light duty, and you're going to get knocked around on that boat. I hate to say it. For as much, and the funny thing is, I actually have a soft spot. I have a soft spot for the kickstand. Okay, it's just I don't know why I love that kickstand, but yes, yes. And why and as an alpha clone, you can't put them on at all. So 30 seconds. You know, a lot of people feel that way, and in fact, I have a Sunesis on my main account, which was gifted to me. Everyone at the time got one, and so I actually rigged that up specifically. Yeah. Well, you can do that in the Sunesis too, and the Sunesis has a nice advantage over those other ships in that they why can't I think of where the Sunesis is in here? Angel, Serpentis, Sacha. No, it's not Mordu. Yeah, for some reason I can't seem to find. That is true. Yes. Yeah, they'll combat scan you down, and then they'll chase you down from there. I could have sworn no. Whatever. Alright, well, let's go ahead and finish up this particular job. Yay for more money. And the next thing is deliver it. So make sure we got all our caps in the cargo hold. Now in this case, when you're playing EVE Online, if someone says cap, they're talking about their capacitor. What? There's an Amicus.
Warp drive active.
You know, yeah, yes. the Astero skin. I'm sorry. Um, there are a lot of really good ones, but that's because it's one of the higher end ships, and people really wanted to, and they wanted to make it something people would want to buy. I said I'm very much partial to the glacial drift skin. Like, I actually have that for the majority of the ships that I fly. I use that skin. The only thing I don't use it on is my capsule, and I use the Capsuleer 15th anniversary skin on that.
Docking permission requested. Docking request accepted.
Okay, so here we are. Make the delivery. Very quick, easy set of money. And the next one is to build a Gallente shuttle. Yeah. That's a part of the business setup that I would be showing people, but right now I'm in the middle of the industry line.
Warp drive active.
Some of those are glaringly drop you to sleep. What's this? We need you to pick this up here and drop it off there. We could do it ourselves, but we're going to make you do it for no obvious reason. You know, like every other MMORPG in the world. Yes. Save your ISK wherever you can.
Warp drive active.
Well, that came out of nowhere. Zoom, here we are.
Docking permission requested. Docking request accepted.
And someone's got scanner probes out. Alright. Yeah, I know. And I should have everything I need to make this immediately. So. Wonder why it deleted your standings number. Yes, it will. Right now, there's a couple of the big primary options for industry ships. Seems to be between the Caldari's Terra and the Galente's Iteron Mark IV. The Terra looks better. The Mark IV gives you a little more cargo space right off the bat. And someone also said the Bestower is really good too. And I mean, at 4,800 capacity, And then, wow, 6 lower slots. Yeah, you could stack that and overload that puppy. The only reason I'm not so much of a big fan of the Terra is it's only got the 4 slots. And it starts, yeah, it starts you off with 7,300, but, you know, if you want to start doing any kind of realistic long range travel, you're going to want to have, in my opinion, you're going to want to have a inertia dampener. You're going to want at least one inertial dampener. You're going to want at least one warp stabilizer, because I actually only normally run one unless I'm specifically trying to get through things really, really quick. I normally run one initial dampener, one of the carbon fiber housings. I run one warp stabilizer because I tend to run, because especially on my main character, I have done some faction warfare, so if someone's orange, they're gonna lock me up. But for the Terra, that means I've only got one more power slot, so I have to choose. Yes, that is true. A lot of the people who are going to go after you, that is very true, Greg. They're gonna scan you before they go after you, unless you're in my case where I was flying an empty ship and a destroyer, a battleship, tried to take me out in Gallente space because they thought that I would be an easy kill. It's part of the reason why I always equip warp stabilizers now. What I was running at the time was a Miasmos, because I had just finished dropping off a full load of ore. And all the inertial dampeners are great. It'll help you get to warp fast, but you're going to run into an issue where you're not going to be able to utilize your cargo hauler for all that much cargo, which is kind of the point of a cargo hauler. Yeah, I have a suspicion that's what was going on. I think they did a cargo scan, but not a full ship scan, because had they noticed that I had the stabilizers on hand, they would have known it would have been absolutely pointless to try to stop me in a disruptor ship instead of a scrambler. All right. All right. Yeah, they stopped me as I was heading back, and I had just dropped off a full load of, I want to say it was Shining Iterbite.
Docking permission requested. Docking request accepted.
I completely forgot to accept the mission. You want to be able to say that you can do it. That's what it is. You want to just be able to say, look, I got past you and you couldn't do nothing to me.
Warp drive active.
I'm going to make a minor adjustment to this here. Let's see. Really? Stay away from the Iterons? I've actually had pretty good luck with the Iteron. Believe it or not, I've yet to lose an Iteron. I've lost a Miasmos, I've lost a Nereus, and I've lost 2 Krios, but I've not lost an Iteron. Oh, this is Kernite. Oh man, that sucks, Rat. That's where the personal assets is beneficial for. Just make sure to do a search for what you're looking for. I laugh because we've all been there. Okay. I know you don't get a lot of Kernite out of it, but I think I'm going to run back to dock.
Warp drive active.
Whoops. I'm going to want to grab my venture and come clean up this Kernite, because Kernite is good. Well, I normally when I'm doing my serious mining, I normally run a procurer. I got some people who disagree with my procurer. They say that I really should switch to a coveter, and I disagree. And the only reason I disagree, and I'll be completely honest and real, the reason I disagree is because, yes, it's great to be able to have your, what the, oh, okay, I know what that is. It's great to be able to have your mining laser cycle so fast. At the same time, you are going to run out of cargo space because you're 4,000 less space than a comparable procurer. Alright. Let's go ahead and see if we can't dig up that Kernite.
Warp drive active.
Yes, agree. Actually, the guy who was strongly suggesting that I run the, oh man, the Kernite's all gone. Well, poop. I guess I should have come back and got the Kernite before I turned in the ore, or the thing. Oh well. Where was I?
Warp drive
Ah,
active.
he was a core mate who was. We were in the middle of a mining op, and I was out there with my Coveter, and we didn't have anybody with any mining boosts. We didn't have an Orca on hand, so it was just me and a couple other guys in some various boats. And he was ultimately
Docking permission requested.
he was a drop can mining by himself. He would fill up
Docking request
a pair of
accepted.
cans and then grab a miasmos and pull it in. I felt more comfortable just taking my full loads of 12 to base, offload, and come back. It was just a comfort thing. Alright. So here's what happened. Normally, you'll get everything except the Noxium and the Zydrine you need from the Kernite. Because I made the mistake of not mining the stuff out, I now have to either buy the stuff or go mine it. So the Kernite would have filled me up for everything I need here. So my options are I can either go find some Kernite or Amber, and then find some Jaspit to make up the stuff I need. Or I can simply choose to buy the stuff I need right here. Now this comes in handy if you're in a rush. Yeah, exactly. keep accidentally clicking the view market details, and actually that falls under force of habit. Alright, so now that I have this construction started, it's going to take almost 100 minutes to get this built through. Yeah, the mega site's always fun when you actually get your hands on that. Recently, my normal corporation just relocated out of a low sec area because we were dealing with a guy who was bringing alts who were all in carriers to take out our Arthanors or Arthanors. Oh man, that sucked because that was like home since I started playing the game, and now I feel uncomfortable going there. Okay, well, my plan was to try to work my way through both industry and business today. Unfortunately, it's already almost 1 o'clock in the morning, and I have an hour and a half before I can even finish the industry career, and I still have the entirety of the business career path to go through. So I think what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and call it an evening. Tomorrow I will pick back up approximately, let's see, I'm on call tomorrow, so probably sometime between 10 and 10:30 Eastern Standard Time. And with that, I'll be able to finish in the industry career path. Oh, it was my pleasure, Rat. And I'll be able to show the business career path as well. So, with that being said, it was an absolute pleasure talking with everyone here today. I'm going to go ahead and head out, and you all have yourselves a wonderful evening. Fly safe. This is the Lone Wolf, signing off.